Okay, let's see here. Let's see, roll call, everybody's here. We'll call this meeting to order at 9 o'clock on the dot. All right, item 1, approve and amend minutes of regular meeting date May 26, 2020.
Motion.
I heard a motion. Do we have a second?
Is Marty muted?
No. Let's see. Who did we have a I didn't.
I made the motion.
Okay. Well, I'll make the second then. So. Okay. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote? Can he hear us?
Thinking he cannot hear you.
Okay.
He is unmuted.
Well, I could hear him a little bit during the pledge, but
yeah,
he was kind of in.
Yeah.
Well,
let's hold on a minute till we can get, I guess, a thumbs up from Marty.
Okay. Okay.
And if we got to take a few minutes, that's fine.
Can he make a sign that says motion and another one that says second? And one that says yes, one says no.
Muted.
Yeah. Yeah. Do the old gladiator, sit there and.
At this rate, this could be our highest rated YouTube video.
It could be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone playing Tetris?
I don't know. Maybe Marty on his phone.
I think it was.
Hey, Ben.
Now I can hear
no voice out of the screen.
Now we can hear you, Marty.
So we can hear him. I don't think he can hear us, though.
No.
Nope, can't hear nobody.
Okay.
I'm muted. Well, I can't. Yeah, they're muted. I can't hear. Yeah. Yeah, it's been. I hadn't turned it down or nothing from what it was.
There's an unmute button at the bottom of the Zoom screen over to the left.
Yeah, what happened, Mike, is he can talk to us, but he can't hear us. So I think probably his computer itself is muted, like the volume of his computer speakers, but he can't hear us for us to tell him that. So he's on the phone with somebody.
He's got his computer whiz on it.
hear us? I'm thinking he still can't hear us. Let's see.
Hello, Kenny. Doing all right. I can't figure this out. All right. Well, I got mute and it's off. Well, it shows to be on up. Yeah, I'm not looking. I even called Ben a minute ago and I hadn't changed anything on it. You know, I gotta keep having a red light beeping that says recording, you know. Nope. And all I have done is turned it off like I always did, and then
Of course, we have a technical issue with Martin Kirk, so
yeah, turned it back on and done the same.
Live one.
no.
Okay.
Grab a chair, sit down.
We ever gonna go back to?
I know a while ago I had a deal said I was muted from you all.
If we're ever going to have another world the way it was.
Right. Okay.
Video, I'm just listening. They can hear me if I'm mute.
Yes. Yes.
Acevedo. Boy, when they start riding J is when
We're gonna bring out the pepper balls.
Right.
Get out of lead.
we don't have anything.
Sorry, our use of force goes from.
Right.
What do we have?
Alrighty. So I'll hang up this phone and then I'll call that number. Right. All right. Bye.
Okay, so 22.
All right, so what we're trying,
Out of 27?
he just can't figure out how to get the
and ours
computer audio
for
working
discussion.
right. So I told him to go ahead and leave his computer running so that we've got his picture and to call in with his cell phone on our call-in number. So we'll actually get a second box that's also Marty, but will be just his voice. And I think what'll happen is there'll be She'll be out of sync one way or the other. My guess is the voice, I don't know, we'll see. One of them will be slower than the other, so,
Yeah, she can.
but it'll be good enough that we can proceed because we'll be able to see him and hear him simultaneously, which is the key.
I think.
So what you're saying is it's going to be like a
She got
Godzilla
the
movie.
heebie-jeebies and she got the
Your
heebie-jeebies
participant
about
ID
being possible.
followed by pound. Otherwise, just press pound to continue. You are in the meeting now. There are
I think that one in the top.
in the meeting. You are muted.
The one in the top center.
David?
So that's probably,
You are unmuted.
that's you. Can you hear me on your phone?
Yes.
You would rather see that money go back. In
Well, I mean, Martin, I mean, we can do that or we can spend another use tax.
All right, how are we now?
You can turn it down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you all, but I get a lot of feedback.
Okay. What? So that's because your phone and your computer are close together.
Can he mute the computer and leave the phone on?
Yeah, so that's probably the best way to do it is just keep your phone, mute your computer altogether.
Is
that better?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
All right. I think we're back in business, guys.
Sorry for the delay.
Well, that's okay. It happens. Okay, we'll just start with, we'll start over with amendment 1 here, or agenda item 1. Let's see here. Approval amend minutes of regular meeting dated May 26, 2020.
Motion.
I'll second.
Okay, so basically we got those. All right, and then Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, so motion carries. Let's see here. Item number 2, approve payment of claims submitted by county clerk's office.
Motion.
Second.
All right. Okay, Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, so motion carries. Let's see here. Item 3, approval of monthly reports submitted by officers.
Motion.
Oh. We do have some.
Okay, great. Who all do we have something from, Barbara?
Health Department, County Clerk.
Health Department, County Clerk. Okay. We have a motion by Russell. Let's see, do we have a second?
Yes. Second.
Okay, thank you. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Another little ground plug on your saw. When you unplug the extension cord,
It came out.
it came out.
Martin, can you hear me? Marty, can you hear me?
Who?
You, Mark?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay,
Yes.
how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And I vote yes, motion carries. All right, item 4, approval to hear Human Resources report on current status regarding Families First coronavirus.
Motion.
Second.
Yeah. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so motion carries. All right, Miss Vicky, you have the floor.
Okay, the numbers in Delaware County are 100 cases, 16 deaths, and 82 recovered. So it still looks like a couple active cases. Those numbers have stood at the 116 since about last Wednesday or Thursday. So it looks like the progression on going up has slowed quite a bit. The county still has 3 on furlough. Most of our employees that were on furlough have returned. Um, the office hours remain the same as last reported. Most offices are working on a rotating schedule just to try to be safe in case of a second outbreak. The county clerk's office is still working 7:30 to 3:30 Monday through Thursday and remotely on Friday. So they are available more hours than they were prior, even though they are doing some remote work. I've had some questions, and this may lead to the next item, I don't know, but since everyone is basically having returned even on rotating schedules, the most questions that I've received have been about travel and out-of-state travel. And right now, the commissioners have not really adopted a policy regarding that. And I've talked to each elected about, they'll have to right now without a policy, maybe use a guideline or just be consistently fair to all the employees in their office. And Kenny, you might be able to help us with this because the questions are, if my employee travels out of state, when they come back, do they quarantine? What exactly do they do? And some trips have been to the coast across the United States. Other trips have been to Arkansas, which is still out of state, or maybe somebody's wanting to go over to Branson. If I go to Branson for the weekend, do I have to come back and self quarantine? Do I work from home? What do I do? So some of that may just require by specific situation or maybe possibly where they've traveled to. So that's the biggest question that I've had on the returning to work. So, and I think that's it. I want to just remind everybody that through June 30th, if you're inclined to want to try telemedicine, that as long as you're using in-network with Health Choice Insurance, telemedicine, it may cost you a $20 copay and it may not, depending upon what you're being treated for. And if somebody is inclined to want to be tested for COVID, they can report to the health department or an in-network provider, and there will be no cost to them. That's it, unless you all have something different.
Board, have any questions?
I'm good.
Marty, you have any questions? Okay. This might be kind of a counselor and HR kind of 2-in-1 here, a question. If, going out of state, I think, like one instance of going to the coast, is it kind of, at this point, as other states are starting to lax their restrictions as far as what's opening and contact and all that, I'm just wondering if the protocol of self-quarantine for 14 days is still, how would we need to start kind of addressing that? I mean, maybe this kind of needs to be more, I think we're going to be kind of covering this and item 5 at the same time, but.
Yeah, it does fit perfectly with item 5. I think Vicky's idea of maybe leaving it as kind of a case-by-case basis and up to the elected official. My thoughts on it are I really don't want to micromanage our employees' lives any more than we really have to. And at this point in time, I'm not real nervous about someone going to you know, Bentonville or Fayetteville or Joplin or, you know, there are going to be hotter spots than where we are, but the risk is ever present. I mean, unless you're, you know, in the woods, in the mountains somewhere by yourself, there's just going to be that risk. So I think, to me, it would be okay to allow the employees that freedom of travel and really stress the, you know, if you don't feel 100%, don't come to work. Just take a sick day. You know, if something feels off, stay home. You know, the elected official could always take that person's temperature when they return. You know, that's got some limited value. But I think if we focus on with our employees how they feel, and make sure that if they feel even slightly off, that they stay home for a day or two. I think that's probably preferable than to try and self-quarantine our employees for 2 weeks. Because at this point, and especially where we live, people are going to be going out of state all the time.
Yeah, I mean, Memorial Weekend, we were inundated with folks here, which I was glad to see, you know, and keep our economy going. But it just, I kind of think at this point, it's like you say, the risk is going to be there. But I just kind of like I say, I kind of concur with that. Just on a case by case, if something does happen to come up, then we can maybe take some measures. But I think just the blanket, you know, everybody falls into the same deal like it was 2.5, 3 months ago. I'm not really seeing where that would be quite necessary now. It seems like the curve has flattened off. I mean, especially for our county, and like I say, there's hot spots that just, I think, so long as the employees are aware of, you know, those areas that, you know, just be cautious, you know, and do be vigilant, wash your hands, and just kind of common sense thing. I think we'll be okay.
So there's probably a difference in somebody traveling to New York City and somebody traveling to Joplin, Missouri. So in that event, you know, each elected would have the opportunity to allow the person, if they're available, to work from home for 14 days if they chose, or, you know, weigh the cases individually. Is that kind of what I'm hearing there, Kenny? To weigh it individually?
Yes, and I think you would probably, you know, only force self-quarantine in a pretty extreme situation, like somebody that had, you know, for whatever reason, gone to New York City and volunteered at a hospital. Mm-hmm. You know, short of that, I you know.
Just self-report symptoms.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I think we stress that stuff, and stress, just like David said, you know, we expect our employees, even when they're out in the regular world away from work, to comply with, you know, social distancing, and, you know, don't wind up in any big crowds. You know, people seem to be getting much more relaxed. I mean, just going around town, I see less and less people wearing a mask every day. And I see more and more people clumped together, like in Walmart or Lowe's. And of course, you got the crazy people in Tulsa with their riots and whatnot. But
yeah, that's a whole other, yeah.
Hopefully that all stays down there.
Yeah, yes. Hopefully they'll all go back home or whatever and get back to normalcy all the way around, not just, yeah, but anyhow. So, okay, well, let's move to item 5, and then we'll just kind of tie these two up in a nice bow and wrap it up. Approval to discuss and review the county's policies in relation to COVID-19 and take action to modify those policies as needed.
Motion.
Marty, can you hear?
I think he can hear us, but he can't talk. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see. You there?
Yep,
All right. Excellent.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay, we need a second.
Second,
Thank you. All right, Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
yes.
I vote yes. The motion carries. So really kind of tying on what we've just been discussing, policy wise, let's see, since we've kind of entered phase 3, I guess one question I have is what kind of a time frame as far as having, let's just say like our BOCC meeting, when will, what are we kind of looking at there as far as a back to in-person type scenario versus Zoom or, as we are now?
That's the same question I'm getting is when are we going to go back to normal BOCC meetings and when is the courthouse going to be open for general public to come back in again?
Right. I guess this more is basic would, I guess phase 4 would be more of a back to normal, I guess, for lack of a better term. Is that what that would be more of, or how's that kind of?
I think so. I haven't really seen anything in writing from the governor's office. I'm sure it's come across.
Right. I hadn't either. I was kind of wondering what if there's been anybody kind of seen anything, because I haven't, that kind of give any guidelines yet of what that would entail. So it's kind of like the rest of it, just kind of wait and see, and we'll go from there. Kind of deal.
I mean, I think we're getting closer. I had a long discussion with Judge Denny over the weekend, and he was wondering the same things in relation to the courts. So what we talked about was, don't get in a rush. Let's look at it in about 2 weeks. And the things that I'm concerned about, one, will we see any effect from Memorial Day weekend locally? And we'll know in 2 weeks whether we did or not. And that'll be, so if we didn't get a bump out of that, that's going to be a real positive sign for us. And because that's one of the concerns is every weekend from now until Labor Day, there's going to be all those extra folks up here. If we didn't get the bump out of Memorial Day, I think, as far as tourism goes, I'm pretty comfortable. Secondly, I wanted to see how the numbers continue to trend over the next 2-week period. Sometimes, as we've seen, there's a little bit of lag in reporting for whatever reason. And I want to make sure that there's nothing misrepresented from a statistical standpoint. And I think 2 weeks gives us a good idea of where we are. So my anticipation is 2 weeks from now, we'll be having that discussion about, it might just be time to get, maybe not 100% back to regular, but, 60% or 70%, somewhere in there.
Okay. Let's see. There was one other thing I was going to lost my train of thought when we were talking about this angle of it. But just kind of touch base. I did speak with Mayor Jay yesterday, and we're going to keep the community center closed till the 15th. Still, just keep that. It was kind of the discussion we had. We was going to see, they're starting to limit folks, in the city hall and that aspect. So we were going to kind of see, like with Memorial Weekend kind of deal, if there was any kind of bump up back in cases or not. And if not, then we were going to start to kind of probably address then. I'd say we'll open it, but at this time we hadn't really anything concrete as far as a definite which way we're going to go. Sure, but it's kind of the same deal. The rest of it's kind of taking it a week at a time just to see how this is playing out. So, okay. So, any other board members got anything, comment or question while we're on this agenda item?
No, I think if we wait 2 more weeks and reevaluate, I think we could have a pretty good handle on it by then as to whether we can open up and go back to halfway normal or not.
Okay, very good. So, well, we'll move on to item 6. Let's see here. Approval to open sealed bids on annual election ballots with possible acceptance. Bid number, let's see here, bid number 19-20/15. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Okay, let's see. What do we have on our bids? I'm sorry, I should have had that in front of me here, but I don't.
Hang on just a second. They're asking what the bids are, so come over here.
Okay, thank you.
Just a second. So sorry, I was held up on a line. Okay, we had 3 bids turned in: Midwest Printing out of Sapulpa, Royal Printing out of Oklahoma City, and Tulsa County Administrative Services. Midwest Printing will be the one I open first. I'll just get them all open, and then Crystal can tell me what she wants to look at. Is she on Zoom?
Yes.
Is she? Okay, because I didn't see her.
Okay.
Yes.
Hello.
Hey.
The second one I'm opening is the one from Royal Printing. And the third bid, Tulsa County Administrative Services, they sent an envelope, but it says no bid in red on the front of it.
Okay.
So Crystal, what are you interested in knowing about these bids?
They're usually within a cent or so apart. Can we just verify that they're still close? And
they are. The only thing that they're about a half of a cent apart on is your regular ballots on the 8.5 by 14, and then a half a cent on your absentee ballots, same size, and then on your sample ballots. And it's a 0.5%. Midwest is a half cent higher.
we don't have regular absentee ballots anymore. They're all regular ballots now anyways.
Okay.
Which company we're using now, Crystal?
We have been with Midwest for a very long time, and I would prefer to stay with Midwest.
I'm gonna say that's what we've usually done, is just stayed with Midwest, because they're only like a penny difference on most of when you average it out. So.
And they're closer to us, so if we have any issues, they can get here within an hour or two. And yeah, Midwest has been very good to us.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Well, do we have a motion to accept bid from Midwest?
I'll make a motion to accept the bid from Midwest.
I'll second.
Okay, motion to accept Midwest's bid proposal. Let's see here. Wait a second. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. All right,
David,
very good.
David, may I ask
Yes,
you a
ma'am.
quick question?
Shoot.
Who made the motion and the second, the original motion on that? I had to get up for a second.
Russell made the motion and Marty made the second.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Well, thank you, Crystal, for your input. Appreciate that. So,
Thank you, guys.
all right. Let's see. Item 7, approval interfund transfer in the amount of 8 cents from county clerk personal service account to county clerk travel expense.
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion carries. All right. Item 8, approval to interfund transfer in the amount of $390.81 from maintenance and operations account to maintenance and personnel service account.
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Let's see, Barbara, if you refresh my memory a little, this was to.
This is the custodian and there
Yes,
was
yes,
about the bonus at Christmas that wasn't figured into
Right.
the original budget.
gotcha. All right, thank you. Okay. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, the motion carries. Item 9, approval to interfund transfer in amount of $184.86 from Human Resources M&O to Human Resources Personal Services. I think this is kind of the same scenario in just different department. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, so motion carries. Let's see here. Item 10, approval appointment of fiscal year 2020, 2021 officers for the county clerk's office as follows: Barbara Barnes and Taylor Douglas requisitioning, Vicky Kirby, Teresa Gross, and Rachel Duffield receiving, Francis Fanning inventory.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, motion carries. Item 11, approval of appointment of fiscal year 2020 through 2021 officers for the county court clerk's office as follows: Karma Sapp, Ashley Jackson, Caroline Weaver, Natasha Isaac, and Veronica Short requisitioning, Melissa Carpenter, Pam Shotpouch, Cammie Davis, and Chelsea Hicks receiving, Caroline Weaver and Pam Shotpouch inventory.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, so motion carries. Item 12, approval appointment of fiscal year 2020 through 2021 officers for the Delaware County Election Board as follows: Crystal January requisition, Anna Reese, and Tara Sire receiving, Crystal January and Anna Reese inventory.
Motion.
Second.
Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, so motion carries. Let's see here. Item 13, approval to receive and forward to ACCO insurance carrier tort claim and notice of John Colton Banks estate. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. This motion carries. Item 14, approval to receive and forward to ACO tort claim notice of Cindy Johnson.
Motion.
Second.
Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you
Yes.
vote? I vote yes. This motion carries. All right. Item 15, approval of resolution approving fiscal year 2020 through 2021 contracts for the office of the county clerk.
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Let's see. Barbara, on these contracts, is this like with this,
I can tell
what
you
are these
what they are.
contracts?
I can tell
Okay,
you.
great, thank
Okay, it's
Okay.
our postage machine, our underground
Okay.
vault and storage, our copier machine, Kelpro, our software licensing and support. And then we pay like, I don't know, $7 a month for the water cooler rental. That's it.
you. Very good, thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, the motion carries. Item 16, approval of resolution approving fiscal year 2020 through 2021 contracts for the Delaware County Election Board.
Motion.
Second.
Let's see, hey, Crystal, are you still with us? So.
Yes.
Could you give me just a little rundown, what all the contracts are, just for, if you don't mind, please?
I believe I didn't make copies before I gave them to Barbara. I believe one of them's for our printer and one of them is,
I can read them. I have them if you would like.
because I didn't make copies because I needed the copies after they were signed.
Oh, okay. But it's kind of, basically in a nutshell, it's more of the same kind of.
It's the same ones we do every year. It's renewals.
Well, I understand that. I'm just trying to kind of get a, just for
Copy
those.
and postage machine.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, that's what I figured. So, okay, very good. Thank you. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, so motion carries. Let's see here. Item 17, approval of resolution directing Board of County Commissioners to direct the county treasurer to reimburse the county election board personal services, part-time help, travel, or M&O general fund accounts pursuant to the Title 62, Section 335 of Oklahoma statutes.
Motion.
Second.
All right, Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. All right, item 18, approval of error correction transferring the amount of $3,200 from District 2 M&O to District 1 M&O.
I'll make
I'll
motion.
make the motion. Shoot. Oh, okay. Well, Martin's got the motion. I'll make the second. How about that? So. All right, Russell, how do you vote? Oh, I think Russell's froze on us. he's not moving. Mhm.
So Crystal texted me and said that the meeting just bumped her out for some reason. Harlan said the same, that it just bumped him out. So
I'm wondering, because we went, isn't there about a time frame of about 45 minutes or so or something other?
no, not
No.
with what I have. It can go forever. Hey, Russell.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I remember that now.
All right. So, all right. See you, Russell.
All right, bye.
All right. So Russell said, give him a minute to get back to his office because, obviously it turned back on. He was walking up to Barbara's office or in the process of heading that direction. So he should be back to his office in just a second. All right, let's see. All right, I think we may be back in business.
I can hear you fine, Kenny.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay. I'll just start over with 18 here.
Yes,
Approval
please.
of error correction, transferring the amount of $3,200 from District 2 M&O to District 1 M&O.
I guess I'll make a motion on this one.
I'll
Well, we
second.
thank you. All right, now we're talking. All right, Russell, how do you vote?
And who
Yeah.
made the second?
Pardon, Barbara?
Who made the second?
I did.
Martin?
Okay, I couldn't hear it. Okay.
And let's see here. Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, so motion carries. Let's see here. Item 19, approval to receive and file certificate of liability insurance and current list of board members for the Oaks Fire Department as follows. Julian Sanders, Mayor; Nancy Kendall, City Clerk; Jesse Reed, Member; Virginia Gritz, Member; May Bird, Member; Vince Osborne, Fire Chief. Not really sure. Pontnick, I'm not sure how to pronounce that first name there.
Fred.
Fred.
Fred?
Yeah.
Okay, I wondered if that was or what kind of type that was. But anyways, Vince Osborne, Barbara Barnes, Melvin Bossum, receiving. Ashland Waits and Cheyenne Brighton, inventory. Sorry, I kind of chopped that up a little bit. So.
I make a motion.
Second.
Let's see here. Let's see here. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes, so motion carries. Item 20, approval to receive and file Eastern Oklahoma Library System preliminary fiscal year 2021 or 2021 budget.
Motion.
Second.
Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. This motion carries. Let's see here. Item 21, approval of Timberlake Phase 1 subdivision plat per request of Grand Lake Surveying.
Did they ever bring that by, Barbara?
No, I do not have that, so that would be a not needed.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, that was kind of how to address that without even being able to look at it. That was.
He wanted it on there, but he was to get the information to the courthouse yesterday, and he did not, as far as I know. I
Okay.
do not have it.
Okay. Well, since I'd already read that, I guess we'll just have to table that or whatever, since I've read the agenda item there. So, okay. So
We have a motion. Do we have a motion to table?
I'll make a
That's what I'm
motion.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
I'll make the second. Okay. Oh.
Hey, Kenny,
Yes.
since we're on the subject of subdivisions right now, or this one here, since we're doing Zoom meetings, can we get them to turn them in like a week before we put it on an agenda so that we've got time to go up and review it before we vote on it?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea, maybe 4 or 5 working days.
Yeah. Tell them they have to bring the plat up and have it with Barbara, and then the 3 commissioners will come up and review it independently, and then after that, then it'll get put on an agenda to vote on.
It'd be either that or tell them, kind of pursuant to our discussions today, I think there's a good chance we'll be opening up a little bit more in a couple of weeks if we return to regular meetings.
Mm-hmm.
We might be limited by the 10 people. That'd be one where we could let, one guy come, bring those plans, present them to us like usual, and probably stay under our 10.
Yeah.
That'd be their other option, is if they want to wait, but that's kind of an unknown. So my guess is they'd rather drop it early and have you guys look at it.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, so motion to table made by Russell, second by Martin. And let's see here. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. All right, item 22, approval for discussion with possible action of transferring the amount of $5,000 from 93A dispatch payroll to 93D dispatch M&O because of overages of payroll funds due to shortage of personnel. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, let's see. Is Sheriff Moore with us?
I am with you.
All right, great. What could you give us a little rundown on this transfer? What you got in mind?
The dispatch center needs some new chairs for one thing, and some file cabinets to hold. Now that we're going to enter misdemeanor warrants in NCIC, which we haven't always done, we're going to now. We need more file cabinet space. There's a couple other things that they thought about, but I told them not to even worry about making a list until we get this run through the county commissioners. And then we can go from there. The reason we have the funds is really in the next 3 items, 22, 23, and 24 is we were short personnel all year. And so I feel this is an excellent opportunity to take some of those funds and spend it on some of the things that we've not been able to spend it on due to the fact we didn't have money in an M&O account to do it.
So you're saying in your M&O accounts now, there's not sufficient funds for tables or any of that kind of like what you just discussed now?
The M&O account for dispatch was only for our monthly and annual fees for OLETs.
Didn't pay for paper. Supplies.
And the paper and supplies and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if you all know, but we buy and use a ton of paper here. So I'd like to stock up on that also. Also, I'm really concerned about my cash account that comes across the street from the court clerk's office with this COVID thing. The funds are decreasing. We're not doing as much work. We're not arresting people. We're not putting them in jail. So we don't have, those fines and costs and things like that affect several offices at the courthouse are drastically going to affect mine. So I've already seen we're making less money come across the street. So if we can spend it out of the general and save our cash, we'd be better off. Also, all of our computers are to the point that they need to be updated or replaced to include the Otis computers that are in dispatch. So, I mean, we have the need for it. We just haven't done it because we didn't have the funds available to do it either out of my cash account or out of the general fund M&O.
Okay. Any questions, comments from the board?
After I've had time to sit and think about this, I talked to the sheriff about this here. I think it was last week when me and him talked about it, last week. I think we need to wait before we go and transfer money out of a personnel services account right now, because of just like the sheriff said, due to the COVID stuff that is going on. I'm more concerned that we may need that money for next year's budget also. So if we can wait another maybe 2 weeks, that would be nice, so we can kind of sit and go over some more numbers a little bit before we commit to transferring $105,000 out of a personnel services account.
We have a deadline, Commissioner, on when we can order stuff so that we can have it back in, or we have actual possession of it by state law. If I'm correct, right, Kenny?
What's the deadline?
I think we can't draw another. I want to say June 17th is the last date that we can draw a PO.
Let me look at my calendar. June 17th.
I believe that's right. Correct, Barb?
That's right, so that we can get ready for the end of the fiscal year and get all the POs in and not try to spill over into a new fiscal year. That's correct.
Right.
Well, we have a meeting on the 16th. How soon would the money transfer? Wouldn't transfer until it went through excise board, wouldn't it? Barbara?
Well, excise, the only meeting they have this month is, the regular meeting is the 10th. Unless they had a special.
I mean, I'm fine with waiting till the 10th.
Let's see, what day would that be?
Or, I mean, we could wait till the 16th. Do you think, I know you like to stop POs about the 17th, but if we ended up approving the transfer and he needed one for something that was needed, would you have a problem with doing the PO after the 17th, Barbara? Or is it going to cause a?
I'll have to get with the purchasing agent about that. I wouldn't answer that without talking with her.
That's fine. You just want to table it till the 10th? I think that's our next meeting.
Hey, if I could interject something, Commissioner, I mean, these,
Or 9th.
can you hear me, Russell?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You know, some of these things we want to do takes time, and we've not started anything. You know, every year I give money back to the general fund for that we haven't used. And I don't know. I just think that we held off as long as we could in this fiscal year because we didn't know what, you know, the fiscal year was going to look like. And, you know, our needs are still there, regardless of what day you say. If you wait till the next meeting, we're going to be past, or the 16th or whatever you're talking about, it won't get to the excise board in time. So this is about the most ideal meeting to make a decision, time wise.
Well, I'm one vote in it. What does David and Marty think?
Well, just on this, I'll just put it like this, probably on this item, because this is the only one we're talking about. I don't want to get into the others till we get there.
Yeah. I mean,
just
I'm fine
offhand. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm fine with doing 22 right now. I was talking about waiting for the next two.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just stick with one agenda item at a time here. Okay. If it's on that aspect of it, it's some, especially with dispatch on computers and that kind of thing. You know, you're kind of, Sheriff, do you have enough computers to have these older ones? Are you replacing them entirely, or just rebuild them, or what? How's that? Just curiosity there. You got enough to kind of keep going enough without being down short, is what I guess I'm trying to ask. So,
Well, currently the operating systems on the computers that we have are obsolete. So instead of putting a new operating system on an old computer, the best thing to do is to put a new operating system on a new computer. So, I mean, that part we've thought out, and it's a need. You know, I actually called Kenny and asked about these transfers and what he thought. And of course, it's not my fault or anyone's fault that we just simply cannot fill the number of billets that we need to keep this sheriff's office at full staff. So, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, we have the need to spend the money, and the money was at one time budgeted to the sheriff's office, whether it's in the 93 account for dispatch or the 04 account for the sheriff's office. You know, we're a 24/7 operation, and it just takes money to make it operate. And the funds are there. So, and anything we don't spend, naturally, like every year prior to this, it'll go back into the general fund. And I don't anticipate spending every penny of it, but I'd like to have the flexibility too if I need to.
Well, kind of like you guys said, I think it's best to look at these one by one. So when we look at dispatch,
right,
you know, we're talking about, you know, $5,000 moving from personnel to M&O. And it seems like the sheriff has got some real needs there as far as equipment. I mean, even chairs, you know, that may not sound like a big deal, but you think of our employees have to basically sit in a chair all day long except for their breaks and their lunch.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a chair, it makes a big difference. So at least for taking these one at a time, you know, my recommendation would be that you do go ahead and transfer the money. because there is a need. So
Well, like I said, I'm fine with, if you just want to do a vote right now on 22, I'm fine with doing it. And then we'll.
Well, yeah,
Kenny
that's
said, we'll
all
get to
we're,
it when we get
that's
to it.
all we're discussing right now. Yes. Okay. Martin, do you have any input or questions or anything?
Well, I don't mind voting on the 22, but
Okay. All right. Well, move to vote for 22 then. We'll go from there. So, all right. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
yes.
I vote yes. So motion carries. All right. We'll go to item 23, approval for discussion with possible action of transferring the amount of $70,000 from 04A sheriff payroll to 04D sheriff M&O because of overages of payroll funds due to shortages of personnel. We have a motion.
Motion.
Second,
Okay. All right. All right, Sheriff, you and I had a short discussion out the other day about you kind of briefed me a little bit about this, but kind of give us an overview of this as well. What on this amount of money? What are we looking at?
Well, it's basically along the same lines of 22. It's excess funds in the general fund that was allotted to me for personnel, but I still have needs in M&O. I'd like to leave my SSF2 account, which is my cash account in the sheriff's office, built up in anticipation of it going down because of funds from across the street coming to me, and use that money for, first off, I have somewhere around the actual figure, somewhere around $20,000 in annual subscriptions and stuff that I have to pay for some of our equipment. Our GeoSafe is $15,000. Our X-ray machine that's at the lobby, it's a couple $1,000. Our fingerprint machine downstairs is a couple $1,000. I mean, it all adds up. We've got now three Ford Explorers that are 100,000 miles right now. I just got a bill for one of those to spend $1,500 because the steering went out on it. So the Explorers are starting to cost us money. And I know that people don't want to talk about vehicles, but you know what? Your sheriff's office, you got to have vehicles. And you either spend it on bad stuff and throw the money away, or you keep your fleet fresh and new so you don't spend a lot of money on repairs. So like to have the flexibilities to maybe buy a couple of vehicles out of that fund and help pay for some of our annual costs. And all those, all of our contracts come up July 1st, well, end of June, end of fiscal year. So at the beginning of the fiscal year, I got to pay out all that money to keep all of our annuals going. That answer your question good enough?
Well, I guess, yeah, I'm following what you're saying. I guess what kind of just throws me a little bit with this was, last budget, meetings we had, there was animate, discussion of the shortage of payroll, and here's almost trying to do quick math off my head here, over 60% of what was on the budget increase, that was kind of premise was for, pay increase for personnel and that kind of scenario. And just seeing that, it just kind of I understand on equipment all too well, and hence why I would, I know it didn't a complete fleet turnover, but why would, the BOCC, purchase 3 new trucks? So that's kind of just that amount from payroll, for the M&O, that was what kind of an eyebrow raiser for me.
You mean you want to know how come I have so much payroll extra?
Well, sure, like, yeah, if you would like me on that a little bit, I'd be kind of curious.
Because I have no applicants to fill the positions for the money that we pay. I mean, it's pure and simple. I'm surrounded by counties that pay a lot more money. So deputies or people that are certified go to work there instead of here. I mean, we raise it up a little bit, but they're doing the same thing. They're raising theirs. I mean, we're never going to catch up at the rate we're going unless we make a tremendous sacrifice in the general fund to help the sheriff's office employees get up to the monthly salary that personally I think they deserve. So
have we entertained the thought of using this excess money to give pay raises to the employees that we do have?
Can't do that.
how do we do that, Commissioner?
How many employees do you have?
We have 52.
I budget for 52 annually.
Mhm.
I think I'm currently, at one point for several months, we were down to like 7 patrol people and making it work 24/7. I had to take the 2 detectives I have out of detectives and put them on the road to work calls. So, I mean, and I'm still down to 2 detectives because they're still on the road. Got 3 people in training. I got 2 people going to Cleat. I mean, we are doing some things, but it just takes time, and Cleat's a long obligation. And out of the 52 employees I have, 45 of them are the lowest paid employees in the county. And that's fact. So that just causes me to have extra funds and personnel, although we budgeted for it. And I'm grateful to the county commissioners for giving me the excess funds and trying to raise the salaries and stuff like that. But it's just not enough. So
Sure.
I end up in the fiscal year with excess funds in payroll.
Sheriff, you talked about budgeting for 52. How many do you have employed right now?
I don't know, Under Sheriff,
Oh, we are short. I think we're short 5 patrol, 1 dispatch, 2 jail.
Well, what's your total?
Total right now? You talking about the total right now?
Total is what we're after.
Gee.
We're missing 2 detectives, 4 patrol.
Hang on, we'll get your number here in just a second.
We're having to go backwards.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It moves. I mean, every day it moves. I get resignations on my desk almost on a daily basis. So,
Well, and the reason I ask that is to kind of talk about a little bit where you've tried to find balance over the last fiscal year. And like you mentioned, the primary problem to adding more staff is a lack of qualified applicants willing to do the job for what it pays. But just based on what you and Tracy were naming off that you're short, I mean, you're short more people than if we look at this in the next agenda item, that's like 105,000. So even if we just look at this one in the 70,000, I mean, that's, if you were going to add 2 new detectives, $70,000 wouldn't pay them.
No.
So you're really not that far over. So to me, thinking back as the year progresses, I guess one of the questions was, couldn't we have rolled that $70,000 into some raises for your employees? The answer is yes, you could have, but then you could have never hired any more employees, even if, so then if you found that guy that you really do need that was willing to take the job, you wouldn't have been able to hire him, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Just making sure I understood that right.
Well, and it's a complicated thing too. I mean, being short, I just paid out of the general fund personnel, all the overtime that was accumulated, all the comp time we had to pay it off. I forget how many $1,000, but so that actually is, that amount of money would also pay for personnel, but because we're short, we have to pay people to stay and work.
So did you pay everybody down to 0 on the comp time, or just pay them down so that they got, to the limit?
We got it down to 0. So we go into the fiscal year, so I'm not carrying the liability into the next fiscal year.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's been a big challenge we've been dealing with in Ottawa County, because as these guys leave, whether they quit or they're terminated or they get furloughed or whatever up there, they're all carrying gigantic comp time balances that made it so difficult to try and budget this stuff out. It just tore up the sheriff's budget there. So
Now,
that's a big deal that you got that comp time down to zero.
well, another thing, and I'm sure that most people are not aware of, when somebody does leave this agency, we pay the comp and vacation for that person who leaves out of my cash account. So we don't touch the general fund. So the general fund is a sacred cow to me, so that we keep it intact. But it does affect my cash account for M&O, that, gasoline, oil, tires and stuff like that. But we watch it really, really, really careful. And that's why, another reason why we have an excess in the general fund this year in payroll, because we don't use the general fund to pay off employees that leave, especially, with the way our vacations accumulated now, and that sort of thing, we just pay it out of cash. So
In 2019, we paid over $45,000 in overtime out of our cash account.
out of cash, not general fund. So this time we paid to pay off the overtime. We paid it out of the general fund because we realized, a couple of months ago, we're going to have an excess. So we waited until close to the end of the fiscal year. And I think it's going to be in the next payroll. I think they're actually all the employees that have comp time are going to be down to zero. So, but we're going to just start that right over again, because shortage of employees means overtime and comp time is going to accumulate.
Sure.
I think the number we have employees right now, we think we're at 43. So we're about 9 short all total, department wide.
And Sheriff, I know from us talking, you mentioned the vehicles during the meeting today, but we talked about a number of other items that I think are absolutely necessary for your department that you are lacking in right now. Could you talk a little bit about those things?
Yeah, just a second.
We've got some issues in the evidence room, storage issues. Besides just the things that I've talked to Russell about, the lighting and the plumbing issues, we're going to have to get some new shelving back there. We're going to have to get restock some of our evidence collection stuff, and that stuff isn't cheap. So that's going to be a little bit of a cost in there. The shelving that we're going to have to get, we're just running out of space because of the backlog of evidence that we're accumulating back there. So there's going to be a cost incurred right there.
Also, we need to I would like to buy new body cams. I would really need for them in the jail, that every officer in there needs to be wearing them daily. Too many incidents in there that we don't cover with our other cameras. Might be helpful if we got it covered with body cams. We have radios and the repeaters for cars. A couple of them crapped out. We need to buy a couple new of those to keep those going so the deputies can communicate with dispatch when they're out of the cars. Our UHF radios need to be all reprogrammed to include all the fire channels, which Muskogee Communications have come up, but they charge me an hourly rate that's pretty high, but it's something we need to be done. And again, I mentioned the annual contracts for maintenance contracts on some of our high dollar equipment that we need to do. The x-ray machine, the fingerprint machine, our GeoSave. There's a couple other ones I can't think what are, but it's quite a bit of money also. So, we have the need. If I spend it out of my cash account, I can draw that cash account down to nothing, and I can be just like another sheriff up north and be in trouble in no time flat. And I don't want to go down that road. I'd like to leave this place really, really solid. It wasn't this way when I got here, but it's in pretty good shape now. And I just need the help of the BOCC to understand that so that we can do that for whoever inherits this chair. And that's my song and dance for the day.
Well, I just want to iterate that I feel your pain. Trust me. It's a balancing act of, you only got so much money to work with, and you're trying to juggle all the balls, keep them all in the air at the same time. It's no easy task. I fully have empathy there for you. I guess it's what kind of rolling in my mind was with the, kind of put my thoughts together here to kind of listen to what you're saying. You're speaking of like some of these things you're wanting to buy, like even on the, talking about your vehicles, spending $1,500 on that. Well, are you looking to buy more vehicles with some of this funds as well, or because when you total it all up, the two larger amounts, of course, I should just, I'll back up there. Even on this one here, I mean, that's 70,000. That's a pretty significant chunk of money. Like I say, I understand what you're saying on, you got a lot of needs as far as this just general upkeep and some improvements on the facilities, but I just kind of curious. I mean, with that amount, was that part of the things you're talking about there, and with some vehicles as well, or what was you have in mind? I guess what I'm trying to.
Well, I can buy a couple new pickups. I can buy a couple new pickups for $55,324. I've already priced them. They're available.
Okay. Is that fully equipped, or is that just the base model?
Oh no. I mean, then I got to spend a couple $1,000s to get them equipped, which I usually do out of my cash account.
Okay, so the trucks are 55,000. Is that off state bid or something, or?
Yeah, state bid.
That's for two.
That's for two.
Oh, for two. Okay, that's what I was thinking. 55,000 a piece. Okay, so okay, I'm with you. So they're out 26 and change.
For 27,662 a piece.
Okay, got it. Okay, nice. So basically, ones are the same ones we bought earlier.
Right.
Last year. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I guess that's for me, anyways. And I understand where counselor's saying if you gave, some pay raises, then it kind of cap your being able to hire some folks. But I just, I guess that's where I was kind of thinking maybe may not be depending on the amount of raise, but I just thought maybe some of that funding could kind of go like that to try to retain some of those better folks that you have, and staff. So,
well, I mean, if we give raises, there's no guarantee that I would get the same funds next year to sustain those raises. I mean, bonuses or stuff like that, Christmas bonuses and stuff like that, in my understanding, is not legal. So, I mean, once you give a raise, in my opinion, I think you have to be able to sustain that raise. So,
sure.
That's what I have to look at every year when I put a budget together. When I ask for so much money, can we maintain this year to year? And that's why I don't use my cash accounts over here that I use to operate the sheriff's office for payroll. Of course, we're on a couple of grants right now, and they're paying for salary, but I like to be able to maintain those people when those grants run out. One of them's a 3-year.
Right. One of those is our trash cop per se.
Yeah.
If I remember right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, and
I think
that's on like a, what is that, 5-year program, give or take, and we're in like
I think it's a 3-year. It's a 3-year program.
Pardon?
3 years.
Okay.
And
3 years. Okay.
It decreases in the amount of payroll every year. So you got to match more money for payroll next year than we did this year. I mean, it decreases both M&O and payroll. They give you a bunch of money to get started basically. And then supposedly
then it's got to sustain itself. That's always kind of the catch with, you know, you hear the word grand all the time, but in a lot of ways it gets you, like you just said, it gets you going, but in the end you got to be self-sustaining, or they're not, or you got to match. And yeah, I understand.
In all reality, I hate to say this, but using the DEQ officer to fill a slot on patrol so I got enough people out there. So he's kind of doing a dual role. He checks the dumpsters and stuff like that when he can, and I give him assignments when I can to go out and pick up trash with trustees. But it's kind of turned into his priority now. It's got to be making sure our patrol is solid enough with at least 2 people on a shift. So
right.
As soon as we can get 2 or 3, like we got 2 or 3 in FTO training now, and as soon as I can break free, then I'm going to break him free totally and put him out there for doing nothing but DEQ, because he has to report to DEQ his progress every month. And quite honestly, it's not very good because we've not using what we said we were. But we've been in contact with DEQ and they understand, so it's not going to be they're not going to slap me too hard about it.
Okay. Well, I keep sending you a few trash bags here and there I find, so maybe that'll help the cause there a little bit. So
If we take this money, we give our people a raise.
So you have 2 in training and 3 in cleat, correct? Did I understand that correctly?
No.
I got 2 in cleat. And
2 in cleat. Okay.
Yeah. And because cleat's not open, they're doing training actually on a computer during the day. And when they can, they're actually doing some FTO on the road. So they're kind of a dual purpose at this point in time, but eventually they have to go to Ada or either Tulsa, wherever, to do some of the physical stuff like the driving and the hand-to-hand combat, or what do they call it, and things that have to be done physically, they have to literally go to do. But a lot of the stuff right now, they're doing classes online. I've got one in my office right now in the other room who's on the computer right now in class. So we're taking people from the jail, and we have done this for some time, who really want to be deputy sheriffs and work the road, who showed an interest, who care about the job and stuff like that. We're taking them out of the jail and promoting them into patrol. Of course, that leaves the jail short all the time. So, I mean,
you guys need to understand that for us to hire a deputy that is not already certified and experienced, you're looking at a 1-year investment from the time we hire them until we can put them on their own. So we got a 1-year salary that we have to pay someone before we can even turn them loose. That's a lot of training. It's not like you can just set them down in an office and watch over their shoulder for a week or 2. You're looking
Well, I understand that all too well. I mean, I'm not been in law enforcement, but I don't expect you just throw someone out there. I mean, that's not a.
So us trying to find the people to fill these slots on the road, or even dispatch, a qualified dispatcher, is very, very difficult. And once we get them trained, trying to keep them here is almost impossible. That's one of our biggest struggles, especially the good ones. Law enforcement agencies, they come and scalp. That's what happened to Cunningham. That's what happened to Cody Thompson and quite a few of our other really good officers. These other agencies, Mays County is really bad at it, and they pay one of the highest salaries around here. We get these officers trained up, and they're excellent officers, and next thing you know, boom, they're gone. And we're right back where we're sitting.
Well, could we still wait till the 9th so we can see how much this is actually going to cost with all the trucks and everything that you're wanting or that you need? And then versus how much we could give for pay increases for employees.
Are you going to have any more numbers from Lorena by the 9th?
By when? the 9th.
By the 9th. Are you going to have any more information on what next year is looking like? Are you going to have
I
any
don't
more
think-
information than what you have right now?
I don't know. I'd have to talk to Lorena about that.
Because I mean,
I don't think she's in her office right now.
we could take this money and we could divide it up and give what employees we have the raise that I think that they should have. But is that can you guys guarantee that we'll have that money for the next budget?
That's what I want to see. I want to see if we give that money as pay raises, how much would that cost us next year in the budget? How much of a budget increase would that be to continue doing it if we did it as pay raises? Because if it's going to be too much, we can't do it as pay raises. And then why not make an investment in better vehicles and the computers and the things like that and radios?
Well, that's y'all's call.
Anybody else?
Myself, I'd like to know what the difference would be.
Do what, Martin? I'm sorry.
I'm just saying myself, I'm kind of in line with Russell on that. I'd like to see what the difference would be and kind of what it's going to look like for next year.
Okay.
What do you think, David?
Oh, I see what they're saying. I do, all three of us sit in the same boat as far as how much can you afford payroll? How much can you spend on, equipment? It's a balancing act, and you have to really have some foresight out as far as, guy like, and I understand the sheriff's like, he's trying not to keep his cash drain down, and I appreciate that. I do. That's smart thinking there. In some ways, though, that was kind of my thing. It was I guess I'm just being frank. I'm not trying to be, adversarial or nothing. I'm just kind of remembering from the last budget meeting, though, was the funding that was the big thing was we needed the funding for pay raises. So, there was some funding for that, which would have averaged out about a $200 across the board, give or take. And I'm just kind of using what I can recall off the top of my head. I don't have it all in front of me, but, and then, that's where I'm just kind of thinking in my mind what could be, if let's say maybe some of that could be used more for pay raises or something to that effect, and kind of stall out maybe, instead of 2 trucks or something, maybe just do 1, or something like, I wonder if that'd just be something the sheriff might consider, something like that. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of, throwing some ideas out there that maybe I'm sure he's probably looked at. I don't know. Maybe I'm just kind of speaking about my part, but it would be. In some instance, I like to see kind of what like I say, sheriff. Just curiosity is a question that has the thought of taking like this 70,000 and applying that towards. And I understand, like I say, you don't know what you get from one year to the next, whether it's sustainable. And I understand that all too well. I mean, our main line of income is monthly, and it's never the same. And it's a kind of a wild roller coaster, especially this last 18 months. It's trend. We're on a 30% trend down right now from last year. I think that's where I think from kind of consensus I'm getting from the board, that's where they're kind of just, maybe that kind of be looked at a little, maybe a little more at length.
You know, I don't know what to say, Commissioner. You guys were generous enough to give me enough money to give everybody $200 a month raise, and that would include all 52 or whatever employees that I should have, but I don't.
Right.
But still I was short because it still wasn't enough, you know. I give you an example. We're up to $2,500 a month for a deputy, fully certified deputy on the road. Cherokee County makes $200 more than that, so they're at 27. Rogers County pays $3,400. I think Mays County pays $3,200. So I mean, we get a little bit, but we're just not. It's going to be a major expense to get our. And I forget what Grove is up, but I mean, I'm losing officers to Grove too. So, and that's just a municipality here in our own county. So, I don't know what the answer is. I know the general fund is a sacred cow and it needs to be treated that way. And I'm very sensitive to it. I'm very sensitive to your use tax account too. I mean, I know that if nothing else, that's all we have to fall back on in this county. So
correct.
So, I mean, I've got needs. I kind of justified the needs to you, but I have to rely on you guys to tell me what direction you want me to go in. And I'll do the very best I can, like I have every year. And we'll go on from there. I mean,
well, I appreciate your efforts, Sheriff, and Under Sheriff too. I'll get Tracy. I know he's sitting there, so it ain't an easy road.
No, the last thing.
I don't envy him at all. So,
I mean, the last thing Tracy and I want is an adversarial relationship with the Board of County Commissioners, and that's just not my style. And I won't do it as long as I'm here. But that doesn't mean that my needs are any less than they were yesterday. And unfortunately, it is the largest budget in the county, but it is the largest liability in the county. So I have to rely on you guys to, all I can do is give you the information and tell you this is what it is, and then rely on you guys to make the decision on what you feel best to do. So that's where I'm at.
Well, if you want, on item 24, I'll make a motion that we table to the meeting on the 9th.
okay. In the review, what the difference is on the payroll? Okay.
Yes, I want to see what it's going to cost us if we gave this as pay raises. How much would it cost us? How much of a budget increase would he need for next year to maintain that? Then I'd also like to see how much it's going to cost to buy all the other equipment that he's wanting.
Okay.
So that we can get a good total here, everything we need.
And Russell, when you made your motion, I think you said item.
Did I say 23 or 24?
I think you said 24, but you meant 23, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so what are we doing?
I made a motion to table item 23 to the meeting on the 9th.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Martin or Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Okay, motion carries. Item 24, approval for discussion with possible action to transfer an amount of $35,000 from 93A dispatch payroll to 04D sheriff M&O because of overage payroll funding due to shortage of personnel. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay.
And then if you want, I'll go ahead and do the same thing we did for 23.
Well, I mean, I guess Sheriff, on the two amounts out of the same, was one, the 5,000 and then the 30, what, on the 35 out of the same? Was there a reason why there's two different amounts there versus like one for 40,000 or something? What was?
There's actually 40,000 excess funds. There's
Okay.
40,000 excess funds in personnel and dispatch.
Okay. Okay. But this 30, between the previous item and this item, those two was you kind of all conjunction in together. Is that what we're looking at there? With the trucks and the fun, or what was part of this going to be using that for the trucks as well, or?
Yeah, it'd have been a combined 105,000.
Okay. I see. So, now Russell, I'm sorry, I cut you off. What was you saying? I didn't catch.
Oh, I was just saying if you want, I'll make the same motion for 24 that I did for 23, that we table it to the 9/2.
Well, at this point, I mean, we table the other one, so we're kind of,
Yeah.
we take that in with, let me ask this, Sheriff, on the dispatch side, how many are you short on the dispatch side? Just curious, make sure I got my notes right here. When you tell me how many was short.
I think currently right now we're just one, but I've also got a notice from one that she's quitting, so that'll make two.
Okay.
I mean, she's still working. I've got one out on extended stay. Let's see, I got one pregnant. I don't know when that's going to happen. And then I got one that's her husband just died and she's going to take some bereavement leave of a few days.
Sure.
But I don't have a relief. If something happens, one of the girls that's up front in my office have to go over and dispatch. So
okay.
Anyway, and Lou is kind of the supervisor of dispatch, but she's also my payroll and takes care of our payroll and stuff like that. So I mean, she's dual road purpose. Yeah.
Okay. How many total do you try to keep to be fully staffed there? How many personnel's there? I'm just trying to kind of put all this together here, just a little quick rundown. If you've got two leaving, one's on leave, one is maternity type scenario. So what does that? One, two, that's four. How many total dispatchers do you try to have? What would be fully staffed? What was that? I'll just put it like that. Then that makes it simple.
Minimum staffing to successfully man it 24/7 is 10 people.
Okay.
And we're at 9 right now. Going to be at 8 as soon as she finds another job. She's already told us that she's going somewhere else. So.
Okay.
Well, that's kind of lucky though. We did have one recently that was a really good dispatcher. Went to Collinsville. Decided she liked the sheriff's office better, and she's actually coming back. So I mean, sometimes good things happen.
Yeah, they do.
And I think that's another thing that's hard on the employee, especially in the jail. Well, all of them is when you put them on a schedule and they think that they're going to work days for, an extended period of time. And the next thing you know, somebody quits and you're not on days anymore. You got to work nights because that person is not there. Well, what about my child care? And what am I going to do about this? I mean, I already made plans. I mean, I hear it day in and day out. I mean, it's stressful on not only the employees, but also the administration on how in the hell are we going to fill this? So, that's another consideration, just so you know, that's what my day is like.
Right. I understand. I do. we can still fit this in if for next week, we can fit all this in. We can get our information. Russell, you gonna work? Would you want to work on that with the
Yes.
assessor? And kind of get a rough idea of what because I mean, it's that time of year anyways.
Yeah, I'll get with her. Usually she can give me an idea of what she thinks the valuation is going to increase to. I mean, it increases every year, so we know it's not going to go down. But she can usually give me a rough estimate, and she's never really that far off on her estimating either. So.
Okay.
So are you talking, Commissioner, you want me to figure up what a raise would be immediately based on the funds that are available in the general fund? And also give you a figure on top of that of what my needs are materially?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if we give the raises now to these people, if we give the raises to your current employees right now, what's that going to bump the pay up to? How much of a difference will you need to make your budget at the end of the year? And then how much of an increase will you need over the next fiscal year to maintain the same level of pay?
Okay. I can work on that.
I'd lot rather, I mean, I know you need the equipment, but I'd lot rather give it to pay raises to make us more competitive with other counties and cities around us.
Okay.
If you do that, then I'll get with the assessor and see what she thinks, and then I'll give you or Tracy a call here probably towards the end of this week, maybe Thursday or something.
Okay. Works for me.
All right.
Would you like him to run different sets of numbers on different amounts of a raise, or just look at a 2% or 3% or 5%?
Well, I mean, let's face it here. Not everybody is going to get a raise. You're not going to give somebody who just started last week a $200 increase after only being there a week. But let's look at your employees that have been there a year or more and see how much of a raise they've had over the course of that year. And can we give them a $200 raise for being here a year? I mean, like the rest of other departments do it. You don't just give a pay raise to everybody across the board all at one time. It's based on how long you've been here, how many of you do you have, how long, that kind of information like that.
You understand, Commissioner, 2 years with this sheriff's office makes you about a tenured senior person.
Yeah, that's when I said a year.
So, well, even a year makes you pretty tenured
Yeah.
here. I mean, you got me, you got the undersheriff, you got Wells, you got Murray, you got Lou. That's about it.
Yeah.
Everybody else is 1 or 2 years max. I mean, if you're 2 years here, you're pretty senior. And that's, isn't that horrible to say that? Agency this size, but I'll figure it up. I just looked at my calculator. A 5% raise to a deputy sheriff be $125 a month. Bring it up $26.50. So we're getting close to. I mean, we're still low compared to everybody else, but
we're still low, but it's better than nothing.
We're about there.
I mean, it's getting us closer to other counties and cities. So
you understand, the deputy sheriff with 3 kids don't care about closer. All he cares about what he's going to pay. And I don't blame him for going like, Mays County getting out $1,000 a month. I'd do it too. But, or maybe up in, I don't even, what's Ottawa County pay now, Kenny,
No, they're going to be low again. They're going to be close to us. Which was part of the problem was 18 months ago, maybe even 2 years now. The sheriff up there was trying to deal with this same problem, and he was giving pay raises to everybody, like an across the board 10% raise, and didn't have anywhere near the funds for that. and didn't plan it out. So as a result, when the excise board had to come back in and limit his spending, he had to pull those raises that he had given away from everybody, in addition to firing and laying off a bunch of people so he could come in under budget, which he's successfully on track to do. I think they're pretty close to us. They might still be a little bit above, but if so, not by much.
Okay, and we're working on a salary survey for surrounding agencies, and we'll incorporate that too, so that you actually can look at it and see what, where we're at. I mean,
Yes.
I think that's really important that you guys see that, because I mean, otherwise
That
you
is-
think I'm making this up, and I'm not. So
I don't think you're just making it up or pulling it out of thin air. I know we're not real close to some of the other counties around us, or any of them for that matter, probably, but it'd be nice to be able to see where we compare to other counties so that we know how much we got to do.
Well,
okay, that's fair enough. We're working on that for you.
and when you look at our two big municipals, which is Miami and Grove, you've also got to keep in mind it's a little bit apple to oranges, because as municipal officers, those guys are unionized. So they have all sorts of protections that our employees don't have because of that ability to unionize, which, we're very, very happy we don't have to deal with that. But from an employee standpoint, that's really attractive for those guys to go and get to be a part of the FOP and all that good stuff.
So I guess if you guys are all right with it, I'll make a motion that we table number 24 to the 9th of next week.
Okay, so you're making the motion?
Yes.
Okay. Table. Okay, I'll make the second. So, see, I'm just making my notes here. Be me. All right. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion carries. Item 25. We could just table that. I should have that. The city council meeting will be, I believe, tonight. I gotta look on my phone here. And as soon as the city council approves the agreement, then they'll bring it to us in a more formal fashion than the draft that was just for us to review, and then we can take a vote on it from there. So I'll make the motion to table item 25 till next week's meeting of, what day will that be on? We get their dates all correct. The 9th of June. Yeah. So, okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second. Or
Okay.
Marty did.
Martin. Yep.
And
Okay.
do we have motion for the original item?
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I guess I did jump the gun there just a touch. Let's see here. Item 25, approval of agreement by and between the city of Grove and Delaware County concerning the emergency management building lease. And I'll make that motion as well. Do we have a second? Okay, Russell. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Let's see here. Well, yeah,
Are we voting
well,
yes?
yeah, we got to kind of, yeah, okay. And then, let's see. Martin, how do you vote?
Yes, on tabling.
Yep, okay, okay. All right, yeah, I guess,
And
yeah, I got, that's my fault. I jumped the gun there. I got us all turned around.
Mr. Chairman, excuse
Yes,
me,
ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, we
All
need to
right.
do that as well on item 23, because we had a motion to table, but we didn't have a motion on the original item. And we
Oh.
didn't have a vote on the tabling either.
Well, I've got it in my notes that we did, but apparently,
Okay, but we didn't have a motion on that original item.
well, I've got two
Here.
R's and two M's, so that's okay. We'll just run her again then.
But tell me
So-
what, tell me what you had on 23, because I think I couldn't hear it.
Okay, I've
Original
got, Russell made the motion on the original item, and then Martin made the second.
Okay, and then Martin to motion and Kirk second on the motion. Okay, all right, got it.
Correct. Yep,
I just want to make sure that I have all the minutes done correctly. Thank you, sir.
yep. Nope, no problem, no problem. Let's see here. Okay, I ain't butched up 25 too bad here. Okay, we've made table that. I know, I was like, yeah. I read it in my mind, but I didn't read it out loud, so.
If you're gonna go all out.
That's right, just put the hammer down. Okay, let's see, we did make original motion and then we moved the table. Okay, and then we got that. Okay. Correct? Yes. All right, sorry, I know I kind of screwed that up right there. All right, so we go to item 26, approval to open the floor for new business.
Motion.
Second.
Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes. I have none at this time. Does anyone
I have
else?
none.
I have none.
Okay. Item 27, approval to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Okay. All right, seconds. Russell, how do you vote?
Yes.
Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Motion carries. We are adjourned at 10:58 a.m. See you guys later.
See y'all.
Bye.
Hold on. You there, Mike?
Can you hear me?
Yep, now I can hear you. Can I give you a call in a minute?
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to just stay on and you and I just stay on.
No, I'll give you a phone call. All right.
Was this your cell number? I'll just call you.
Yeah, but I got somebody at the door and I got another phone ringing. So let me
You
call
have
you.
my cell number?
Is that this number or something different?
918-346-0102?
Is that what I texted to?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Good enough. I'll get off.
All right. See ya.